All right. Hey, welcome back to the Go for CEO channel. And ladies and gentlemen, this is going to blow you away. This guy was a snowblower business. At 13, he built a snowblower business. And then, by the way, takes an eight-figure business and exits recently. Jordan's story is proof that real success is built, not bought. After scaling a DJ company in high school and later leading a technology advisory firm to massive growth, he's now transforming how businesses buy tech through AI and his company, IT Select. Featured in Forbes, FinTech TV, and International Business Times, Jordan has a blueprint for founders ready to move from chaos to clarity. And by the way, subscribe to the channel at the Go for CEO channel. So, Jordan, welcome to the channel, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing good. It is a Friday. Just happy to be going in the weekend here. Halloween next week, so we're truly kicking up the gear to the holiday season now.
I love it. I love it. Well, look, we were talking a little bit offline that you own several businesses and are starting to do this podcasting thing to kind of get more content out there. And it's certainly that time of business where podcasting and content and being relevant in the marketplace and showing your face and being that authentic self is really gravitating business and attracting those away from like, hey, is that an AI or not type of thing, right? So you never know who's deep faking you. But excited to kind of share. So in our community, we love to hear like, hey, what started Jordan? Like, where did he come from? Were you in corporate and then kind of learned some things and then launched your own thing, or were you always an entrepreneur as you did at age of 13 snowblowing? So take it away and give us a little bit of a feedback side.
Yeah, I mean, on the note, real quick, of being like, doing content and whatnot, right? So like, I've always been super content driven. Like, if I have something meaningful to build or talk about, uh, I I lose interest fast, right? So like, I like to put my stuff out there. So I want to see and hear what I would be interested in. What's funny is though, I'm also really comfortable being uncomfortable. So every new business I've started has felt like a little bit of standing on the edge of a cliff, right? You don't totally know what's next, but you jump anyway. And that's kind of where the growth happens with any of these businesses we're talking about. I've learned that being uncomfortable is kind of the point, right? You talk to all these entrepreneurs, and I've seen your other episodes, and I've seen you do your thing. And one of the things I've noticed they all have in common is that being uncomfortable is kind of the point. If you're always too comfortable, you're probably just repeating the same playbook. The magic really happens when you build something new, figuring it out in real time, and trusting that you'll make it work because you've done it before. And that's kind of where I'm at now with this new business or any of my businesses.
No, it's interesting, right? And there's always success leaving clues, right? So each thing that you do, either hitting your head against the wall, or pushing through and breaking down a wall that you didn't think that was possible, and now is a new level, right? So
Yep.
really cool stuff. So obviously, all right, let's kind of almost org chart this thing. So you're at the head, you've got this mastermind, you're always thinking of ideas. A lot of people get confused, like, hey. Jordan's got eight businesses. Why don't I start eight businesses? Let's slow down a second. Let's hear what Jordan actually did, right? And kind of that framework. And then obviously we can kind of go deeper on the main business that you're talking to us today.
Sure. So yes, I have a lot of businesses. My dad actually likes to make fun of me. He likes to call me LLCJ, which makes cracks me up all the time. But so I've realized over a long time, a lot of mistakes, a lot of successes, that I enjoy the build, right, of the businesses. I really enjoy the build, right? Whether that is going out and getting the right tools, getting the right people, right? Building the right team, leading the right vision and finding it, right? That being said, what I've done is I have a great idea or I see an opportunity in the market. I'll build and scale that company, put an operator in place, and then I'll rinse and repeat. And once that operator is in place, though, at that point, I'm really looking to see what can we make better. I hate the term if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Like I hate that term. I what I really like to do is figure out how can we continue to optimize? How do we continue to make it better? How do we continue to streamline, either reduce human capital or make something faster or give the customer a better experience? And while we're kind of always looking at these things, that's what I've done and continued to do in order to move on to the next business. So,
Hmm. So what was your first business? Why don't we go into that?
first business actually
First business.
was doing having a snowblower. My dad bought me a snowblower when I was like 13, 14,
Okay.
and he'd throw it in the back of his expedition and he would drive me around because I couldn't drag the snowblower when it snowed too much. He'd come pick me up at one house and drive me to the next house, and for like 20 bucks a driveway. That's what I was doing all winter. And I'm happy he did that because it taught me to, be out there in the cold doing hard work, even if it was for 20 bucks. But he didn't have to be driving me around with a snowblower in the back, right? So he definitely taught me to be entrepreneurial. Um, so yeah, that was my first one.
Well, I feel the kinship of it. Shameful plug here, but the 4A formula talks about in the first chapter how I was 12 years old and thinking like my parents are broke. I'm an only child. I'm trying to think like I live in Bentonville, Illinois. It's, super middle to lower class, and I'm like, all right, well, how do I make? And back in my day, so I'm probably a little bit older. I didn't get 20 bucks. I got $2.40 and
Go.
$3.50 for shoveling snow and mowing the lawn and stuff like that. So I'm dating myself there, but it inspires you, right? Like when you have that itch, right, and you're solving opportunities for yourself to either, like for me, it was my dream. I say it in the book, like I wanted to buy my Jordans, and my mom couldn't afford $100 pair of shoes back in the '90s. So I just thought of a creative way of getting resourceful and what could I do to make that, and I would wax cars and all that type of stuff. So, but all right, so you take that snowblower experience and you see how your dad's committed to you and you put in the hard work itself. Okay, so you get through high school. What are some of the things that you're thinking of? Are you in high school also going, okay, well, oh, I see this and I see that, and oh, that's a cool idea. What's some of the ways that you ideate to really form a business?
It's really about marketplace opportunity. So, for instance, one of my earliest business, kind of in high school, kind of in college, my best friend is from Indian descent. So his older brother had a small DJ company, and
Mhm.
I was DJing like bar and bat mitzvahs in high school, and I was teaching myself how to do weddings and whatnot. And this is in the early 2000s. I would leave high school dances and go DJ a bar bat mitzvah or a wedding, or I would leave my own high school dance and DJ another high school's dance.
Oh, wow.
So, so I was hustling on the DJ side really early in the teens and early 20s. But my best friend and I, he knew the Hindi and Bollywood music, and I knew how to DJ. So we teamed up, and for many years, I was the only white guy in the DC metro area that was spinning Indian, like in South Asian music. So we became the go-to for fusion weddings. I mean, we were doing like 45 to 60 fusion weddings a year, and some of these events were 3 days each. So like Memorial Day weekend, right, and the weekend before and the weekend after Memorial Day, we would do a 3-day wedding, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The next weekend we do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And if you had a fusion wedding, right, we were the group to come to. So we saw that as a marketplace opportunity. So we started marketing ourselves as the fusion wedding experts, right? We
Mm.
realized there was nobody out there doing that, and we did that for many, many years, and we cleaned up in that marketplace because we saw the opportunity. Same thing with any of my other businesses. For instance, IT Select right now. There's nobody else out there that we are running into or hearing about delivering IT procurement as a service, um, with the same kind of deliverables that you would get from, say, a Deloitte or a PwC. So, marketplace opportunity right there as well.
So, there's something about what you said, right, with that individual or that identified marketplace, right, with the fusion DJing. I want to touch a little bit on, how you started to develop a pricing model. I'm assuming at the beginning you had a certain price, and at the very end, I mean, you were probably three, four, 500% more. Could you tell us a little bit of that story? Because a lot of people, find something, but then never realize, oh, I could start charging more, and then the next one a little bit more, and then where did you hit that barrier of like, okay, somebody finally balked at $10,000 for the weekend, or maybe it was more?
Yeah. I got a couple stories here. I'm trying to think of what I want to do. So, when you're building any sort of pricing model, right? I always say start with value, not cost, right? So a lot of founders, I feel like, and I'm going to relate this to not just the DJ side, just because I feel like this question could really open up, right? But
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of founders make the mistake of marking up expenses, but the real question is, what problem are you solving, or what itch are you scratching in the market, right? How valuable is what you're doing to the client or customer, right? So um, when to bring it back to the DJ question, we realized in the marketplace in the DC metro area, there was a lot of fusion weddings, right? People from DC marrying people of, Indian descent, like Jewish and Hindi and,
Well,
Muslim and Christian, right? Like we saw this and we started looking up, right? Who out there you can either go with an Indian wedding DJ group or, a bar and bat mitzvah group or a traditional wedding DJ. But once we knew our value in being the only ones, we kind of reverse engineered that pricing. And I do this with every business, right? I like to break into it. I like to break it into three parts, right? So what's the perceived value, right? Like how rare are we in doing something like this? Are we the only ones? Are we one of two? What's the actual cost to deliver it? Okay. And then three, what margin do we need to make it sustainable? How does this work as a model? Then we test it, right? I'm not going to set any sort of pricing in stone, even after the first 5 to even 10 sales, right? I want to launch it. I want to get feedback. I want to see where people hesitate on a sales call, right? Or whether they're saying yes too quickly. That tells you a lot, right? Like human nature, if I throw out like this monster number and people start hesitating, right? On the sales call, your best salespeople are going to tell you, the pricing is alive, right? You need to refine it as you grow and as your brand earns more trust, whatever business that may be.
yeah, no, it's interesting to see how people use that tool, right? To reach a certain level and threshold of what the pain could be, right, in the marketplace, and how, okay, hey, like I said earlier, was 10,000 the number, or 7,900 or whatever, right? It's interesting how that works out. So you did share, IT Select, and obviously my intro, we talked about it as well. But what an interesting business. IT, AI, technology in general is certainly such a figurehead in business, right? You have to have it, but who do you work with, and what kind of, uh, you know, I guess, like you said, procurement, and what kind of data can you get out of it from a small to medium-sized business, unless you're working with the Deloitte. So you brought up something there that you guys are doing a little bit something different at IT Select. So what is that process, and what are you doing to kind of differentiate yourself?
Sorry, I have 3 kids under 5, so I feel like I'm getting a cough here. So IT Select, we're basically a tech advisory firm, right? We help companies buy smarter, and we talk about marketplace opportunity. Most of the companies that even touch on this IT selection as a service, which we've kind of coined, I put it in air quotes because it's really our thing, are really just doing this in the enterprise, right? Going to monster Fortune, 1,000 companies and saying, hey, we're going to tailor and white glove this procurement process for you. We're doing this in the mid market.
Mhm.
So, mid sized businesses that are trying to figure out what they actually need when it comes to the IT, things like connectivity, cloud, cybersecurity, and communications. And what makes us different, even than some of the big guys, is that we're using AI and benchmarking tools to compare hundreds of vendors in real time. So instead of months long procurement processes, we can usually get our clients the right solution in days, save them a ton of money while we're at it because we're benchmarking where these price points should be, whether it's a monster bulk purchase or just for the mom and pop brick and mortar here in Baltimore, Maryland. And the goal is really simple: help CTOs and IT leaders make faster, smarter buying decisions without wasting time or overspending.
Mhm. So the model itself is speed, right?
Yep.
Accuracy with what they need to use. Are you implementing as well?
No. So actually, all we're doing is we're the in-between procurement consultant.
Hmm.
So if, for example, I'm bringing you Comcast, right? Or if you said, Jordan and IT Select team, I'm opening up three new offices. I need internet at all three. I want the best possible price, and I want redundancy at all of these. So multiple providers at each. We'd go out to the marketplace. We'd figure out who has not only the best price, the least amount of build cost. If there's no internet in the area, maybe there is nobody, so we have to go get you a wireless option, and we bring it all to you on a silver platter. Now,
Hmm.
typically, if you do that on your own, you're doing what I like to call Google foo. And you're out there trying to figure it out and really don't know. And you're dealing with a Comcast rep overseas, and then you're dealing with a Spectrum guy over here, and then you got to deal with, a CenturyLink guy over here. So we do all that for you, and we serve it up to you, and we say, here are your options, here's your best price. And as soon as you give us the green light, we're going to go ahead and get it all for you.
So yeah, I mean, what comes to mind is, I mean, it's like a one-stop shop for this specific area of your business, right? And how you bring these services into your business. Earlier today, with my commercial banking hat, I had a attorney, commercial real estate guy that is doing office space, shared office space real estate.
Okay.
And it's interesting because that would be a perfect fit, right? Like he goes into a building, he has, let's say, 40 spaces in this 5,000 square foot office that he's kind of partialed out. He needs to know each computer and each, router and each like internet thing, right? So I'm not smart enough to know about that stuff, but that is where my mind went. So in a sense, you created kind of a marketplace that you're saying that other IT companies are more talking cybersecurity, or they're talking like other areas, or
No, they're not really. So if a company goes out, if your friend goes out and he's looking for cybersecurity, he's typically reaching out to one vendor at a time,
okay.
right? But now he's reached, if say he needs three or four quotes, just for comparison,
Mhm.
now he's dealing with three or four sales guys, three or four engineers, three or four, extra, SDRs to qualify him. Right there, that's nine people he's dealing with disparaging meetings all over his calendar. If he comes to us, he's only dealing with us. We give
Mm,
all of them the requirements. We are essentially the filter because he doesn't even know if he's reaching out to those cybersecurity providers if they are qualified to work with him if for the things that he needs. So we make sure all the vendors coming to your friend are qualified to talk to them within budget and have to go through us. So we're making the procurement process a lot smoother.
nice. I will say over the last 5, 10 years, I've heard a ton of fractional CMO, fractional CFO, fractional, et cetera. In a sense, instead of hiring, I don't know what the salary would be, maybe 65 to $105,000 person inside of a company that has to do what you just said, they're coming to you as the company, right? And you're touching all these vendors that you're making it simplified for them to make a real decision, and that's such a time saver and such a money saver. It really becomes so valuable. So, all right, I'll go back to the pricing question. So, how did you figure out how to price this, right? Like, I mean, what is your time worth? Because if that guy had to talk to 9 people, I'm assuming your company had to also maybe talk to those people. But where's the efficiencies, and how do you bill for that?
That's a really good question. And we answer that on the first call anytime somebody talks to us. So we are free to use.
Okay.
We are what is called a indirect sales model, very similar to an insurance brokerage, right? You go to your insurance broker, he brings in all the healthcare plans that make sense for you. And once you pick one, that plan or provider pays them, right?
Mhm.
We are exactly the same. So we have negotiated commission rates and referral revenue share rates with thousands, actually thousands of providers. So odds are we're going to have somebody, that is going to be qualified to talk to you from a budgetary and feature standpoint of what you need and compliance. Then from there, all you have to do is pick your provider. We will never have paper with the customer, which is nice. So you engage us by paper, I mean you'll never see an invoice from us. We engage on an NDA and a consulting agreement. That way, everybody is comfortable and secure and compliant. And then from there, there's no money exchange between us, though. Just like an insurance broker, they pay us once you pick the provider.
Hmm.
Very simple.
That's an interesting model. I mean, obviously, I have seen it a ton, and being in those worlds of financial and insurance, seeing how that works. I've not heard of that, so interesting that you would be able to put a model together. Now, obviously you have different other businesses. Are any of them in a vertical that kind of complements IT Select, or have you built separate, I guess, entities that kind of have nothing to do with each other? What's the dynamic of the hierarchy and the org chart?
All the entities are totally different. Um, totally different. They couldn't be more different. I have a wedding DJ company that does 400 something weddings a year. I have a bar and bat mitzvah company that just does bar and bat mitzvahs, corporate events, and photo booth work. Really custom, really cool photo booth work actually. A lot of AI leveraging just in the photo booth space now, which is pretty cool. I can do a whole hour on that, but they're doing anywhere between 300 and 400 events a year. The IT Select is IT procurement. I invest in restaurants as well as SaaS tools in cinema, right? For startups in Denver. A little bit all over the place. None of them are really connected whatsoever. It's more about market opportunity.
Okay, so I'm going to call you mini Elon Musk. Yeah, you got your hands in different, and you know what? I will say, Go for Show community. Here's a gentleman that laid the foundation. The snow blowing business. What a great way at a teenage year to kind of learn the concept of hard work and alignment with his dad and needing support to be driven places and stuff like that. And then you get into the DJ business and you find a niche market that nobody's servicing and you skyrocket that. And it sounds like obviously you've kept it and you've diversified the bar mitzvah, right, to the fusion side. So what are you doing as far as tools, right? Because it sounds like, you know how to handle five, six, seven businesses, but not everybody can do that. It's not usually advised. You kind of concentrate on one thing, but you've
Mhm.
mastered this. But what are some clues that you could leave behind that allow you to be able to do this? And do you have a very regimented schedule? Do you know Tuesdays I talk to my IT Select guys, Thursday I talk to my Bar Mitzvah DJ guys? Like, what's your schedule per se?
Everybody wants to talk about tech stack. It's the number one topic, right? For all podcasts. How do we use and leverage tech? Honestly, the biggest tools I use aren't fancy. There are systems that we create for visibility and accountability. For instance, like I live in Loom. I live in Slack. I live in Salesforce. I live in Monday.com. These tools, along with SOP platforms, allow us to scale, right? Giving the ability to document everything at once instead of explaining it 10 times will help any founder scale. End of story. The one thing that I always try to leave, people I'm coaching or friends of mine that are asking for help or other podcasts, it's remove yourself from one thing. And if you can document it, you can delegate it. Just remove yourself from one thing, though. If you go into every single week and you think to yourself, I'm going to remove myself from one thing each week, right? That's where scale begins. So going back to tools, right? Monday.com gives me a pulse on projects and how things are going. Salesforce is giving me a visual representation of our pipe and where we need to be. Are we on target? Slack is keeping communications fast but organized. Um, I'm a big believer in dashboards. We build and use them religiously. One weekly view that shows me sales, ops, client health, and sentiment at a glance. If something's red, I know where I need to jump in or I need to talk to my customer success team. But the real tool is, the mindset. You're talking about day and how I structure my day and whatnot. I'm a big believer in automating whatever I can, wherever I can. I delegate what I can't, and I get out of my team's way once they have that playbook that I lay out for them. My day, um, if we want to get into that, I'm one of those weird people. My wife makes fun of me constantly. I am in bed by 8:30.
Hmm.
I help her put my kids down between 7 and 8 o'clock most nights, as long as I don't have meetings in a different time zone. But most nights between 7 and 8 o'clock, I'm putting my kids to bed. I got three boys under five, so it is wild. I get the wrestling out, I just get it all out. From there, I'm in bed by 8:30. I'm sleeping by 9, and I am up. Alarm goes off at 4:30, and usually I am in the gym by 5 o'clock. In between 5 and 7, that's my me time, right? I'm not looking at emails. I'm not doom scrolling. I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh, I have to pray in the morning or I have to journal or any. I'm not one of those guys, but I'm in the gym by 5. I'm typically in there till 6, and then I'm having just some like good dedicated me time to like read, watch the news, just catch up on current events. Um, from I would say 6 to 6:45, and then I'm in front of the computer by 7:15, and I'm just trying to get to inbox zero before 9. And if I can get to inbox zero before 9, I know I can work on the business and not in it the rest of the day.
Hmm. Well, you left some great clues, and we keep on talking about success leaving clues, and I think it's a great segue, right? You touched on it slightly there, but you're doing coaching, right? So you're really kind of starting to put yourself out there as well. You know, you've been the CEO, founder, entrepreneur, casting visions, putting in implementations, building businesses, implementing key leaders to be able to take over those, and then just kind of delegating from the top, right, and working on the businesses. So you just shared kind of a nice framework of a time schedule. I know one of the guys I follow, Ed Milet, talks about 3 days in one day. So he does 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., 6
Hmm.
p.m., 12 a.m. And breaking up 3 days in one has given him, and I tried it, many times, and I've noticed that it's worked for me until about 10 because then I get pooped out. So like I need to get some rest after about 10:30, and the wife wants some time. So I don't know how you're doing it with 3 kids and not giving the wife more time after 8:30, buddy. So so but the coaching side, I'm very interested. So tell us what you're doing. Who are the target markets in your coaching? Are you working with C-suites in enterprise level people? Are you middle market, like you said, that are continuously your current clients right now with IT Select? Who are you charting to work with on that side?
So right now I'm working with founders and executive teams at mid-sized companies, people who've built something solid but that have hit a ceiling where growth starts to stall because everything is still running through them.
Mhm.
Typically, it's just entrepreneurs in their first, I would say, 2 to 3 years in their entrepreneurial journey. They're starting to get into this groove of everything going through them, trying to pull themselves out. A lot of my clients are in that 5 to 50 million range, smart, driven operators who've outgrown the grinded out phase, so to speak. They need systems, they need people, they need structure to scale. Um, so I do that in group coaching, but I also do a few entrepreneurs. I'm really selective about it, right? Entrepreneurs one on one who are transitioning from being the doer to the leader, helping them set up their dashboards, delegate with confidence, really just put themselves in a position to work on the business and not in the business.
Hmm. So take us through when was your first opportunity, right? Running all these businesses, getting to a point where you're working on instead of in, frees up some mental space. And now you say to yourself, oh, okay, I'm willing to take on someone. Obviously, you do a lot of that probably as a leader, right, inside your businesses. But what was that point that change in your day to day where you said, okay, now I'm going to bring on an actual person I can coach at that level, basically a peer of sorts. Who was that first person? Did they approach you, or did you say to them, hey, I'm opening up this other division of my time slot and now I can offer this service?
This is a good question because it wasn't somebody outside of my businesses. So I mentioned earlier, um, I like to put operators in place at all my businesses. So I kind of fell into coaching without realizing it. I was helping friends and my own operators in my
Mm,
business, right? I was helping the friends who ran their businesses. So I'm a part of EO Entrepreneurs Organization. And I had people coming up to me and asking for advice and how to break things down. But I was just giving them advice on systems, delegations, stuff I'd already screwed up and learned from. And one day I noticed they were actually using it and it was working. And then it kind of clicked for me when someone said, hey man, you realize you're coaching, right? It was very almost that, you realize you're doing this. And I was like, oh, this isn't just consulting. This is helping people differently and how they run their businesses. And I'm a big believer that if if you want to if you want to get fit, help people get fit, right? If you want to make a lot of money, help people make money. If you want to be good at public speaking, help people be better at public speaking. I think if you put your skill set out into the world, right, it's going to come back to you tenfold. And I think that's what I'm realizing right now. I'm really good at optimizing, automating, and injecting AI and, ultimately scaling. So I think my knowledge right now is in focus is just how do I put it into the world? Going into that content and making myself uncomfortable and putting myself in that uncomfortable situation. That's what I realized I was already doing. I was already coaching. So I realized I loved that part of coaching and watching someone go from totally overwhelmed to finally breathing again because their businesses aren't on fire or on their shoulders anymore. And that's when I feel like I knew I could do this as a business line and really help people.
Okay. So there's been a theme in my questions, pricing, right? So, once you had this aha moment, light bulb went on. Oh, wow, I'm actually coaching within the leadership structure that you've already implemented within your businesses, and now you're doing it with an outside scenario. What is your style of pricing in that scenario? Does it go back to the same model that you've used before in every other business, or did you have to tweak some things because now it's your personal time, right? And are
Hmm.
you a one-to-many guy? Are you a one-on-one guy? Are you hey, let's go on retreats guy? Like what has been your style as you've started to put this thing together?
So with coaching, I keep it simple. I don't price by the hour. I price it by what I think the transformation is. And I'm not going to like dive into numbers. You got to reach out if you want to talk about it. But the question I ask is, what's the value of helping a founder get out of their own way and getting 10 to 20 hours back a week, or unlock another million in revenue because they finally got out of their own way? For one-on-one coaching, because I'm going to do two separate offerings. It's going to be group coaching and then one-on-one coaching. For the one-on-one, there's going to be a monthly retainer that gives structure but keeps flexibility. For the group, it's really going to be tied to lessons and materials, and then a ton of things that I use on a daily basis to help them unlock not only more time but the ability to delegate and automate. Things like systemizing operations and rebuilding and reporting. I've found that if someone's only focused on what it costs, they're probably not ready yet, if we're
Mm-hmm.
being real, right? They should be looking at the transformation on what they get back. But when they see the value, price really isn't the conversation anymore.
Mm-hmm. Hey, they say in the absence of value, price is an issue, right? So uh, it's a great quote. I love to use that in my commercial banking hat. I kind of work in that same vein of I don't really charge anything, right? But my value is in my connections, the network that I have, the
Yep.
guys that I know, who I'm aligned with. Chapter 2 of my book, Selfishly, right, is like, if you could put yourself in the right room and in right table and with the right people around you, man, business becomes a bit much easier to do because you have the right people and implement it, and you have agreements and thoughts and or reciprocation opportunities, reciprocity, as they say, to be able to do business with each other and really grow together. So I love that you're in this space, man. It's really cool to hear
Thank
the
you.
stories, the journey that you've been in, the way that you've developed yourself, and now to kind of have a light bulb moment and go, hey, I don't necessarily, need to be in my businesses. So why not be able to capture another tool that I love, which is what you do best, right? So where's that next level for you? What are you thinking with this business? Are you also, and I don't know if this is true, but have you already set up, I guess, a website that has videos, or are you plugging people into like virtual training for the one-to-many side? What's kind of your
Good, good question. So a lot of, you talk about value earlier, and that there's people always are concerned about price if they don't see the value, right? So um, I think my real value is helping founders see the thing they can't see, the stuff that's keeping them stuck but feels normal to them. I'm sure you hear it all the time on your podcast, right? It feels normal to them. That's what they've done. But I've built, sold, scaled businesses, so I know what it's like to be buried in that day to day. I don't want to make another course for people to go to. I want to give them my time. I want to give them my knowledge. So we're actually going to be launching a website just kind of outlining like my world. Hey,
Mhm.
this is the entertainment space I'm in. This is the IT consulting space I'm in. This is business coaching. This is speaking. Uh, I think that a better way to do this is in coaching is in these cohorts, right? This is the thing we're going to be talking about this month. You have access to me a certain amount of time for one-on-one coaching, doing a half a day or a full day per quarter, and then once a week meetings with these individual one-on-ones, I think is going to be the way to go. I just don't want it to be another course, right?
Mhm.
People, I feel like if they are entrepreneurs, they're trying to do things their own way and they want influence from others, but they also want to learn how to scale. And to put them through a course without real feedback in real time, I don't think is a good use of an entrepreneur's time. I know there's a lot of people out there successfully doing it. It's just not the way I'm going to do it. I think there's a better way. So in a couple weeks, we're going to be launching in 2 weeks, actually from today. Today's October 24th. In 2 weeks from today, we're going to be launching jordansolender.com. It's going to outline all of this, and then people can reach out, and I'd love to work with them.
All right. Well, you skipped to the end there, giving people how to get a hold of you. But no, I love it. It's really cool stuff, and how interesting. And as a guy that just wrote a book and became an author, is that in the plans at all? Or maybe you already have a book. I didn't read in the bio if you had a book. So is that in the plans? Do you care? Would that be something that would add value?
No book in the immediate future. I've thought about putting my ideas and frameworks, pen to paper. Thought about it, possibly could be, but no immediate plans right now. No.
All right, all right. So, look, we like to end our interviews with CEO, and you touched pretty much on all of them, but I really like to get nitty gritty at the end. The value proposition, as we call it. So, C is client engagement, right? Client experience. I'm sorry. So, client experience. So, when you think about all the businesses, right, and maybe they have obviously each client has a different journey in each one of those. But when it truly comes to the core, what you believe as CEO and a founder of a company, when you think about client experience, what would you say is a 30 or 60-second, loop of to share with people on this audience that what would client experience look like doing business with you or any one of your businesses?
So, as far as client experience, just make sure I'm understanding.
Yeah, the client experience journey. Yep.
So, the client experience with me for any of my businesses, including coaching, is super hands on at first. We're literally going to map out how you spend your week. We're going to figure out what decisions only you can make in the coaching stuff. We're going to figure out where we can build systems where people around you. I said earlier, if you can document it, you can delegate it. If you don't
Mm,
have SOPs, we're going to put a system in place. If you don't have an EA, we're going to go get you one. Once that's in place, I'm going to help you build a rhythm, dashboards, check-ins, leadership habits so the business starts running without you constantly firefighting so you can work on the business and not in the business. If you're an entrepreneur, you didn't become an entrepreneur to just build yourself a job. So, from a client experience, super hands-on in the coaching business. In every one of my other businesses, though, there is always a lot of hand-holding and providing value for whatever they're receiving from any of the businesses, though.
yeah. Well, I mean, even, DJing or whatever it might be, that client has to really experience, okay, hey, here's what they're going to deliver. And again, as we talked about value and price, right? So, all right. So E is for engagement. Like Jordan, when people engage with you, your employees, your leadership team, your vendors, your clients, is there anything that you're doing that's different, right? Are you a retreat guy? Do you like dinners? Do you host events at your house? Like, what is it that helps people to engage with Jordan?
I like to for people to get to know me. I like to get to know people. I'm very much a people person. So it usually starts with if it's a one-on-one coaching, it starts with a deep dive, get you in person. Let's figure out what makes you tick. I want you to understand me and I want to understand you. Uh, Transparently, if I need to call bullshit on something, you need to know that I know you well enough to do that. But we call it in an audit phase, right? We're going to spend a couple weeks going through the process, breaking down how you work, how the business works, where time's being lost. from there, we'll build out the plan. We'll make sure we're getting to know each other. I am not let's fly to Dubai and do a retreat together, right? This is about getting your time back with you and your family and leveling up yourself so the whole company can level up. Um, so through feedback and getting to know each other and tracking things, we're very tight knit. We're going to get very close in the coaching process.
I love it. All right. So last one's operational excellence. You kind of, really went on a nice tangent of Monday and tools that you're using. So I'm going to switch it up a little bit. Within operational excellence, what's your viewpoint of how AI can be transforming any business right now?
Loaded question. Loaded question. Loaded question. So operations to me is just clarity and rhythm. It's about building a system where everyone knows what winning looks like each week, right? So AI fits right into that. And I don't see AI as replacing people, as a lot of people are thinking it is, right? It's not a human capital replacement. I see it as removing the noise. It handles the repeatable stuff, right? All the little things that everybody's doing on a daily basis, it's handling the repeatable stuff. So your team can focus on high value work, decisions, relationships, creativity, customer support, right? Right out of the gate. So at IT Select, for instance, we're using AI to make smarter buying decisions. At the DJ company, we're using AI to pick up the phone and call brides and corporate event clients as soon as they submit info and get them pricing and what they need. Um, AI is not about doing more, it's about doing better. The founders who figured that out early are going to build faster, leaner, and way more resilient companies.
I love it. I had a gentleman on just a couple of days ago on the podcast, and he's from England, younger guy, so definitely in the mix of it. And I'm gonna butcher the quote, but something like, "Hey, what his AI agency does is take the workflow of what you have on a daily basis and pick out 30, 45, hour and a half, 2 hours, and eliminate it. Like the AI just can take that hour and a half of your time or that 2 hours of your time of the 8 hour day and basically make it extremely more efficient than the human being. So I probably butchered it a little bit, but that's that I got out of it is like, wow, okay. Because yeah, look, I mean, and let's be honest, there's a lot of people out there, and I love Tony Robbins and all these guru guys, and they're great guys too, and they built
Sure.
tons of value in the marketplace. But isn't it interesting that guys are at that level, there's a little bit of fear mongering, right? Like, in my opinion, right? Like they're saying like, hey, AI is going to take over the world. And then it's funny when I talk to guys like you or guys that are friends of mine that are like IT guys for companies that are doing $100 million. My one buddy said at a party, he said, "Hey, John," he's like, "unless I feed the right information, that AI doesn't mean anything to me." Right? So, and he's an IT of 30 years, like guy inside of companies. So, and again, I'm butchering a little bit of it, but it's interesting to kind of hear, and you got to be aware of maybe a little bit of the fear mongering, like where you're spending your money, how you're spending your time, uh,
Hmm.
and what you're doing to learn the right tools. I'm guilty of it. I signed up for HeyGen and chat and this and that, so I'm spending
Sure.
probably $300 of stuff, and I'm like, oh crap, like I'm not even using it. So like I gotta scale back again and be like, okay, which one can I use the best for what I do, right, on a daily basis? So
Well, I was gonna say on the topic of fear mongering, I think this cracks me up, man. So people are talking about AI like it's Skynet waking up tomorrow and taking their jobs, right? No, it's AI is not coming for your job. Someone who knows how to use AI might be,
yep,
right? Someone who knows how to use it. The truth is, though, AI isn't replacing people. It's replacing all the boring, repetitive BS stuff we hate doing anyway. If a tool wants to handle my inbox or clean up spreadsheets at 2 a.m., be my guest, right? Embrace that as a founder, embrace that as an employee, whatever, whatever. Just embrace that. Every time there's a new wave of tech, people panic, right?
yep,
When email came out, folks thought it would be It would end real communication. When the internet showed up, we thought malls were dead. Now we're just scared of a chatbot
Right.
that writes faster than we do. And I think instead of being scared, we should be curious, play with it, break it, figure out how to make it work for you because AI isn't taking over. It's just making it harder to hide inefficiency.
Yeah, yeah, and there's going to be guys and gals that right, are early adopters and just make gajillions of dollars, right? But
Yep.
then that middle ground, that mass amount of people are still going to do pretty well, and like there is obviously some things from what I'm hearing, Elon's like spitting out like I don't know 30,000 robots a day or some crazy number like that. From what for the types of jobs that unfortunately, I mean, they're a little bit minuscule. So we've got to figure out as a society what we do with the people that maybe, will lose their job, but then also where can we implement them? What can we do? And all that type of stuff. So, well, Jordan, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Super successful, entrepreneur, founder, idea maker in what you do. Excited to have you on the Go for CEO channel. Can you share with people what's the best way if there's someone curious, C-suite guy, a founder, an entrepreneur right now going, hey, I'm in the middle, of my $5 to $10 million run or $10 to $25 million run, and I'm stuck. How do they get a hold of you? What's the best way? LinkedIn? What's your best channels?
Instagram, TikTok, um, Facebook. It's always going to be at jordan.solender, or go to our website, jordansolinder.com. I'd love to chat with you. Thanks so much for having me on, John.
Awesome, brother. Well, hey, Go for CEO channel. By the way, pick up the book, The 4A Formula, Untangle Any Challenge and Think Like a CEO. It's guys like Jordan that I interviewed and my own experiences from a 12-year-old kid to the entrepreneur that I've been and to the entrepreneur that I am right now as a commercial banker and looking at different ways that I interviewed people and the nuggets that came out of that book. Obviously, the Go for CEO channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, become a subscriber, become a part of the community and grow with us to have guys like Jordan on and interest and value in the marketplace. So thanks so much, Jordan. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks so much, John. Have a good one.